YouTube family. Welcome back to another episode of 2A-N-LA. As always, anything that I say in this episode, prior episodes, and future episodes is just my personal opinion. You should not take it as fact. You should not take it as law. Always do your own homework and come up with your own conclusions. All right? Hey, right about this time, I'm going to ask you to do me a favor, please. Go ahead, like, subscribe, and leave a quick comment down below about the topic that we're talking about today. And that is, are revolvers still relevant? Look. Some people are going to get butthurt in this conversation because they aren't going to like it, because some cats are old school. Now let me say this. I'm going to say this right off the rip. Can a revolver kill you? Then it is still relevant. Right? If something can still kill you, it's relevant, Jack. So I am not disrespecting revolvers in that way. A lot of times, I think, like, we try to deal in absolutes too much. You know, the question in my mind, are they still relevant in a functionality perspective? Because obviously they are. Revolvers shoot rounds, deadly rounds. They can be very accurate, and they are capable of, you know, annihilating whatever they hit. And so, yes, from that perspective, from a functionality perspective, revolvers are still relevant. You have seen this bad boy before, right? You remember it from name 2A-N-LA's Smith & Wesson 500 Magnum video, right? And we named it Debo, the bully on the block, right? So look, all these cats, there's a lot of cats out there, very experienced in guns, know more about, probably forgotten more about guns than I know. But I tell you what, ask any of them, if they had Debo pointed at them, would they say it was irrelevant? And I think the answer to that would be no. They would be like, it's very relevant right now. It is very relevant right now. So again, I'm really speaking from a functionality perspective, right? Yes, from a functionality perspective, it's relevant. But I think the conversation needs to be deeper than that. And so a lot of times they aren't, these conversations are absolute, they're nuanced, right? And I think the nuance here is, are revolvers as the best form of weapon obsolete? And look, y'all, this is where people are going to get butthurt at. I think they are. I think that they are. I think semi-automatic weapons have, you know, kind of taken their lunch. Most revolvers hold 6 shots, 7 shots, 8 shots, right? You got semi-automatic weapons that are shooting the same caliber that hold 10 rounds, 15 rounds, 20 rounds, 30 rounds. What? What? And are capable of firing more quickly, have the ability to add attachments like lasers and red dots on them to make them more accurate. I just think revolvers have seen, in terms of being a primary method of self-defense, revolvers have seen their day, have had their day, and that day is past. I won't say you'll never see law enforcement with a revolver on their hip, but I would say rarely. You're not going to see really the military with a revolver on their hip. You know, most, if not all, of our armed forces and law enforcement have shifted to semi-automatic weapons, and there is a reason for that. There is a reason for that. And let me dispel a myth right now. For all you guys who are like, oh, revolvers are more reliable, they don't jam, semi-automatic weapons jam. First of all, there are semi-automatic weapons that are incredibly reliable. where malfunctions are virtually non-existent or close to non-existence if your gun is maintained properly. And for those who say revolvers don't jam, that's a lie. They do. They do. They do. I don't even know. I don't have a ratio between which ones jam the least, but I've seen revolvers jam. I've witnessed it firsthand. I've also seen footage of revolvers jamming plenty of times. So I don't think if you have a revolver, you're, secure from never having to have your weapon malfunction or jam on you. It's just, it happens. Okay? So, again, I don't think you see, I think the day of revolvers being, your go-to self-defense weapon are probably past. Now, I'll say this. If you're like me and you enjoy firearms, part of what you enjoy is the craftsmanship, right? And it's the machinery, it's the mechanism, it's how the gun is constructed. And so, sure, as a means of self-defense, revolvers may be past their day, but as somebody who appreciates craftsmanship, as someone who looks at firearms in some instances as art, and a lot of gun collectors do. A lot of gun collectors collect guns based on how unique the firearm is. And that's certainly the reason why I got my Smith & Wesson 500. It wasn't because I was planning on using it for home defense. I'm not. It wasn't because I was going to use it to hunt. I'm not. It's because of the caliber, the power, the design, the construction, all those things in handguns can be remarkable, right? And so I always think that handguns are going to be a part of the firearms community and the firearms culture. They're ingrained in that culture. And I think you're going to still see people manufacture them. I think obviously people are manufacturing far fewer of them than they used to. And that's because I think they've become more obsolete in terms of being a primary self-defense weapon. But for collectors and those who appreciate firearms, I think revolvers are going to continue to be a part of the landscape. Okay, but I guess my question is, what do you guys think? Do you guys, I got two questions if you guys could leave comments. Number one, how many of you are using a revolver as your primary self-defense weapon? I'm very curious about that. And number two, do you think that there will be a point in time when revolvers no longer exist? They become extinct like dinosaurs. I'd really like to know you guys' thoughts on that. Let's do a poll. So those are the two questions. Respond down in the comments, and I will do a subsequent video with the results of the poll. For it to be meaningful, though, I think we need probably at least 100 responses to both questions, right? So for question A, are you using a revolver as your primary self-defense weapon, right? That's the first question. So you can just do you can do A, yes or no. And B, do you think revolvers will at some point in time become extinct and go away altogether? And B, yes or no. And then I'll accumulate all the answers to the questions once we have at least 100, and I will post them to, I'll do a separate video and post the results and talk about them. All right? That's it for today's video, fam. As always, I appreciate you guys. Make sure you do the comments for the poll, like, subscribe, and until next time, peace.